All right, everybody. This is the first episode of the Bobby C podcast. I'm very excited about this. We're going down a new journey, kind of a new pathway with conversations. While they're going to be conversations with entrepreneurs, how they've kind of always been, they're going to kind of take a different feel and tone, not just real estate, but kind of opening up. Today, though, I've got an awesome guest, Mike Scaccia with A&N Mortgage.
Got the name right.
I've had the chance to talk to you a lot over probably the last couple of months. So to finally get you on the pod and talk more has me really excited.
Sick, man. Appreciate you having me on. I know it's been a while coming. Had to delay it a little bit, but I appreciate you being patient and making sure that we figure out a date to make it work. So thanks for having me.
I mean, life happens. It is what it is.
Dude, it's nuts.
So kind of talk to me. How did you get into being a loan officer? Where's that start?
Yeah, so it's not really a funny story, even though that's how everybody starts a story.
It's actually terrible.
So I didn't know how to spell the word mortgage when I got into the industry. I was working in college, I worked for a marketing company where I did door-to-door sales. I sold a pest control contract door-to-door during the summers. Everybody would tell me that it was a Ponzi scheme, but we made money. And I got really good at the sales cycle and learning how to communicate effectively with anybody because, again, like we're in Texas where I know absolutely nobody. I have no network out there. And we basically get dropped off in an area, knock doors for 8 hours, and come home with as many sales as we could. So I did that for 3 years with a bunch of my buddies from back home. And then we were like, hey, I think that we can do this ourselves. There was two things in Texas that everybody had. It was pest control and lawn and landscaping services. So we basically copied the contract that we had, some of the marketing materials, and then took the premise of the company and did it with lawn and landscaping. So when I was 21 years old, actually before I turned 21, we opened a lawn and landscaping business in Dallas, Texas when I was 20. I celebrated my 21st birthday like 6 months into the business. I didn't know anything about lawn care. I didn't even cut my mom's grass, but we were really good at creating a customer base. That's what we knew we could do. So our idea was, let's go out there, we'll sell for an entire year, build a customer base, build a team of employees that can handle the actual cutting of the lawns.
Yeah, the work.
And then eventually we would have it set up to where we could leave it and go do it again. And we were going to create a passive income stream through that. So we've always had that mindset of like, being an entrepreneur, doing it ourselves, but creating multiple streams of income was the idea. We learned right away that there's more to running a business than just getting the sales done. So like the operational side, the finance side of things, none of us knew anything about that stuff. We were just green and money hungry, and we knew that we could ultimately get clients, which was realistically probably the toughest part of starting a business, right? Getting
100%, yeah. Some might say that's like 70% of the battle.
Right. And we did a really good job at that. I mean, in the first 3 months, the first summer, we had a client base of 300 clients.
That's insane.
4 different routes throughout Dallas, Texas, a 4,000 square foot warehouse, brand new equipment, 3 trucks, trailers, you name it, we had it. And we were hiring and firing a lot because one thing that we found was finding quality employees was the toughest thing. And long story short, what ended up happening was we couldn't find people to essentially count on to show up for work every single day. We started cutting the lawns ourselves, which took away from driving sales, right?
Sure.
So revenue starts to fall off. We're spending more of our time doing the actual labor as opposed to scaling the business. And once we figured out that, hey, this wasn't exactly what we thought it was, we found another landscaping company to buy our clientele and buy some of the equipment. And so we went home, some of us made a little bit of dough. Some of us came home with a decent amount of credit debt and some other things, but it was bar none the best learning experience, and I wouldn't change it for the world, even though it took me years to recoup the time and money that we spent. But when I came home,
I didn't know how to sell.
Yeah, that was it. We were like,
that was the skill you took.
That was it. It was like, we can go out and blow this thing up, and if we could find the right people, we might just get lucky.
Yeah.
And the opportunity was there. There was a time where we knocked on the door of an HOA president where they were building 1,500 homes. And they're like, we're looking for a lawn and landscape company to put a contract on. And we had to submit a bid. Never submitted a bid for anything like that in our lives. We didn't even know how to structure. We were Googling it and, consulting some attorneys that we knew. But ultimately, we were one contract away from, a multi-million-dollar deal that would have ultimately made the company. We came in like 50% higher than every other bid. Because we really had no idea how to do it. So definitely a good learning experience. Came home, and then my buddy lived across the street from a guy that was starting a mortgage company, or an online mortgage company. They had a mortgage company already established, but they wanted to start an online division, kind of like a call center. So they brought us in for an interview. They're like, hey, do you think you can sell this? And I was like, I sold pest control door to door. You mean to tell me that I can sell somebody like a house that they're going to live in essentially? Yeah, I think I could do that.
Something they really want.
Something that they really want. There's a need for it, and it's like a high ticket item, right?
Sure.
When you're selling real estate or you're working in financing, like the deals are bigger, so the money is
bigger,
exponentially greater, right?
Yeah.
Worked at a company called eClick Lending, and started there in 2015. So coming up on 10 years of being in the industry, but call center based. All I did was smile and dial for 8 to 10 hours, taking leads from Zillow and Bankrate, and essentially I was just what I like to call a refi whore, where I would I only worked refinances for the first 4 years of my tenure in the business, where I didn't touch a purchase transaction. I got really good at learning how to structure deals to save people money or consolidate debt, and so did that for 4 or 5 years, and then moved into the retail side of things, networking with agents, attorneys, financial advisors, and creating more self-generated business, making more money on the deals that I brought in. It was a cool segue into the business. And again, I kind of already had the skill set of not being afraid to talk to people, not being afraid to put myself in a room where I didn't know anybody, and really just kind of harness that skill.
Yeah, that's crazy. All of that is wild.
Yeah.
I have so many questions, even about the beginning stuff. It sounds like, had you guys been a little bit more mature within how to structure stuff, you guys would have had a crazy business. It's or like a project manager.
When you think about things, hindsight being 20/20, I think now if we did that business, we would absolutely succeed, without a doubt. One of the other things too was that we had more partners than we should have. We were all best friends. I mean, guys that I grew up with when we were in grammar school, through high school, through college. It's been the same group of guys. And so there was a lot of partners, a lot of cooks in the kitchen, a lot of different egos and things like that. And, luckily, I'm fortunate that the business didn't destroy any of that. And we're all still really good buddies. We all, a couple of us work in the mortgage industry. My friend group, we've kind of all fed off each other from a very young age, whether it was sports. We all competed together in multiple sports when we were growing up. And then as we got into the workforce and our careers, we used what everybody else was doing to propel us. And it wasn't jealousy, it was drive and saying, well, if he can do it, I can definitely do it.
I for sure can do it.
And we still do it today. I got a buddy that worked at a chemical sales company, and got one of his leads that he had ended up being a person that was doing a startup, and he ended up getting a position for it, doing really well, getting stock options in the company, and his income exploded overnight. And a lot of us that were at the same level, and now he was above us, we took it personally, but in the best way. Michael Jordan, I took that personally. And I'm like,
and you got dinner.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Literally, dude. You're gonna pick up the tab here, right? But no, I definitely attribute a lot of my success to the people that I surround myself with, and my buddies. And whenever I tell people that I've had the same core group of friends for 20 years and we're still that tight, people's minds are blown, because people really don't have those types of relationships.
I got maybe one or two homies from back in the day.
No, dude. I mean, this group chat that we've had is 15 years old or something like
crazy.
that. It's wild, man. And
the debauchery.
let's just say if that check got leaked, we'd be screwed. Nobody's running for
office.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's been really cool that I've been able to keep a lot of the influence super close to me, but also using it to our advantage.
Sure.
And using each other to help propel us.
Yeah, and like keep growing off each other.
Exactly.
When you came here and you started in the call center, and then you were like, I was a refi whore, for lack of a better words. What does that really mean?
Yeah. So what it means is that I basically was a glorified order taker, for lack of a better phrase. I had mortgage knowledge, but I didn't really understand the intricacies of the business, how it all really worked. Someone would call in, I pick up the phone. If I could offer the rate that they saw online, it was a deal.
Sure.
And funny enough, I was doing more volume in transactions then, early on in my career, than I am now, just because the sheer volume.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It
turn and burn it sounds like.
Literally, man. Like It was as simple as, hey, Mr. Client, I seen that you're asking if that rate advertised is available. It absolutely is. Boom, lock it in, move on to the next. And so there was times where we were closing 15 to 20 deals a month, and I was fresh off of the loan officer license exam. So didn't know a ton about the business, but I was doing way more loans than anybody that's been in the business for 20 years.
Wow.
So I got to learn how to handle a pipeline and be organized.
Yeah.
But I didn't learn how to attract business and create like an audience and people that I wanted to work with. I didn't have people referring me deals like I do now.
It was straight prospecting then.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is a whole grind.
I mean, 150, 200 phone calls a day. Like, that was your day. You came in and you made phone calls. Now my day consists of doing meetings, shooting content, working on bigger picture things that are ultimately going to move the needle to create more success.
Well, so I guess I want to kind of go down that. For me and my business, right, still kind of being young, but I still think that the prospecting on the phone and like picking up and researching some of these people, like I still think, like as much as I am social media and like that's where I want to push, I still think there's something to be said about like I have to get on the phone and actually hit some people up.
Dude, sales call reluctance is like a real thing.
Yeah.
And
I guess my thought with it is, do you think that's still a productive way to go about it? Or do you think that's just like the way of the road? Like you have to do that to then get into these other steps?
I think so. I think if you skip over part of the grind, you miss a lot of the lessons and the skills that you would pick up along the way.
Sure.
If you were immediately just to jump into networking with realtors and focusing on self-generated business, I think it's absolutely going to take you where you want to go. But I think that if you had to crush the phones and you had to do the tedious, monotonous work, that you appreciate what you're doing now more. Like I genuinely, I did that job because it was a job then. I didn't necessarily at the time recognize that it was going to be a career or something that I would ultimately like or love doing.
Yeah.
Now what I do is changed so dramatically compared to what it was before that I do enjoy my job because there's just so much more. Working on a purchase
because I hated it so much before.
Kind of, man. I mean, just knowing every single day that you were going in to do the same thing, and it was all about metrics and just making the right amount of dials, because ultimately it was a numbers game, just like knocking doors was, which I knew in the back of my head really early on was, well, if it takes me 100 doors to get one sale, and I need to get 2 sales that day, I need to knock 200 doors. You break it down like that, it's really, really simple. And I applied the same tactics to going on the phones and selling mortgages. But now it's, again, focusing on bigger picture things, not living in my files. I try to delegate more of the mortgage stuff, like actually working on loans to the team. Our loan officer assistant, our processor, which is awesome because they've afforded me the ability to do what I do really well, which is connect and communicate with people and drive business.
Yeah. I guess it's part of what I find kind of a difficult part to it all is being kind of young in it, I do understand the concept. Like, I can't do it all. Like, I can't sell, I can't shoot, I can't edit.
Right.
Like, it's just physically impossible. But I guess my thought is, like, I feel like I haven't put my dues in some of these grindy things, like making phone calls like that I'm like, but I think I'm just in a different place where I'm an entrepreneur and I can't, like, I have to, like, delegate.
100%. And I mean, are you an Alex Hormozi guy?
I love Alex Hormozi.
So like,
1 million leads.
Yeah, 100 million leads.
Yeah.
Yep.
I started that book. Haven't finished it yet.
Yeah. Well, I just watched a podcast with him and Chris Williamson.
Yeah, I love that podcast.
Modern Wisdom.
Yeah, he probably had a 4-hour pod.
Crushes it, dude. He's definitely on the far side of one spectrum about how to handle business. That guy lives and loves to work. He loves to work. Not everybody loves to work.
Sure.
So like some of his ideas and tactics aren't for everyone, but there's definitely a ton of like golden nuggets about, that, especially when it comes to like achievers, people like us that, have goals in mind and constantly feel like they can do better. It's not about the mountain peak, it's about the journey up it. But if you're an achiever, there never is a peak. You're constantly chasing that next thing. You're constantly trying to elevate your skills. And I was like, man, that's so true. Because no matter how good I do in business, I always feel like I'm behind. And, comparison's the thief of joy. But it's impossible not to compare yourself to, other people in the office, other people in the industry. But I've gotten better at taking time to like celebrate the wins that I have had, and realizing that it's not everybody's time at this time, and that you might be 1 day, 1 week, 1 year away from doing what everybody else is or what you think you should be.
That's something that I've found too with this whole, or with business in general, is I guess I've been conditioning myself so hard to like never get too high. Like the sales didn't happen yet, but that's like kind of been something that maybe I took too far, and like now I don't, like, it's all just like is.
Yep.
And
there is no achieving. It just is. I'm just doing it.
Yeah. Like
I agree, dude.
Yeah. And I'm not mad. I'm not happy. Like if it happens, great. If not, because I've gotten high on things that haven't come to fruition. I'm like,
why did I get hyped up about it?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay. And that leads you down a kind of a dark and dangerous path of thinking too. Cause then it's like, okay, well, why would I put in this work if it didn't work out that time? You start to think like that, and you start to downplay the work that you're doing because you're not seeing the immediate results. And that's another thing. It's like a lot of people, they want, especially because of social media and all this stuff, you see everybody's highlight reel. You think that you should be at a certain point because you see somebody else's, and you want that instant gratification. But when you pull back and you start to think about delayed gratification and, hey, if I don't need to be right today, I only need to be right in 3 to 5 years. So moving those goals or those projects over a longer length of time makes you feel a lot better about it, because now you're no longer behind. You're just working towards it.
Sure.
So yeah, figuring out that your goals don't need to be achieved overnight, and they most likely won't be. Yeah. And if they are, your goals are too small.
Yeah, I am always the kind of person that is things aren't happening quick enough. Not that I am not impatient, or I'm not patient, because I can do something again and again and again. So but I am I guess maybe it's like my age, and I'm looking around and seeing everyone, like more people getting married, but they're also hitting it in their career. They're starting to really figure it out.
Yeah, hit their stride.
I'm like, these.
I'm like, how I was on the way here. I was having a call with my buddy who's getting ready to propose to his soon-to-be fiance, and I was like, dude, we just went to a buddy's wedding last weekend at the Waldorf Astoria. Beautiful wedding, and all I can think about is how much money did this guy drop? And I'm like, ring, the wedding. I was like, I'm doing fine, But I'm like, how do people afford this?
Yeah, no, I'm like, get married. What do you mean we want money?
I've 10 grand on a ring, 100 grand on a wedding. It's, who has this cash?
Yeah, exactly. I just bought a lot of gear.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, sorry, Kat.
Your wedding ring is here.
Yeah, this is all yours.
Exactly. And just leads you back to like, don't compare yourself to people, or like try to get out of that headspace, because it's not going to take you anywhere good. You're right where you're supposed to be, and the results that you have are based on the work that you've done.
Sure.
So, and that's again why I really like this job, is that we both talked about wrestling before. It's only you out there. There's nobody else to blame. If you don't make weight, that's on you. If you lose the match and you don't get your hand raised, that's on you. There's nobody to blame. And it's similar in this business where, yes, I work for a company, but I'm still ultimately self-employed.
Sure.
If I don't close loans, if I don't do the work, I don't get paid. So I've always liked the idea of betting on myself, as opposed to having to lean on or worry about other people doing their job, which still comes into play in the mortgage business. Like, deals fall out, people go with other lenders, no matter how much work you do for them up front.
Someone's not happy.
Yeah, there's no honor amongst thieves. So
Sure.
like, you can't take it personally, and you start to build thick skin, and you worry about the things that you can control as opposed to the things that are just happening to you. It's been a wild ride so far. And it's funny. I haven't thought about, man, God, I've worked this job for 10 years. And you think about that, you're like, why am I not a millionaire already? Like, why am I not rich? Why don't I drive a Cybertruck? But no, I'm coming to terms with that. I live a really good life.
You're doing better than most people, I bet.
Doing better than most people, according to ChatGPT.
Yeah, that's good. That's all that matters.
Dude, I was so in my head the other day that my girlfriend called me. She's like, why are you talking to an AI robot? She's like, who are you texting? I'm like, I'm texting ChatGPT.
I'm letting them know what's up.
But it was cool. This is a
they.
message for people that are out there that are in our age group that think that they're behind. The average salary, of someone in the U.S. is $50,000, $60,000 for our age group, and their general savings is between like $5,000 and $10,000.
Sure.
Some people much less.
For sure.
So there's a lot of people that I talk to, and even myself, where I'm like, am I behind based on what my peers are doing? And the results I got back from ChatGPT were that I was doing just fine. And it's so funny. Like, that's such an insecure thing to do.
That's a wild place to go for
It
security.
is, but I was like, it's going to pull data, and data doesn't lie. So like, I'll feel better about it. And this was just like me laying in bed at like 10:30 watching The Office. I'm just like, all right, let me see if I'm not.
I can't
Let me see
sleep.
what the census tract. Yeah. If I don't look this up and find out that I'm doing okay, I'm not going to be able to sleep. But yeah,
wild, bro.
I recognize that it was insecure and like stupid, but I'm like, whatever, made myself feel better.
Dude, I'm going to go do the same thing now.
I'm telling you, I'm just saying, it made me feel better.
With this concept of like, I kind of want to go into this too. Like, did all that stuff come natural to you? Like, as far as like going up, like just being present, or being like having, I guess, the machismo to be like, I can do this.
You know what? I think I was a fairly confident person in terms of like, I didn't have a problem like talking to girls, or going up and meeting people. I think, and that was things that like our parents and our friends' parents instilled in us was, you walk into a room where you don't know people, there's adults there, you're gonna go up and introduce yourself, shake their hands, no sir, yes sir, no ma'am. Like, I had kind of the upbringing that kind of prepared me to
not be scared,
grow up really quickly.
Sure.
I have 3 older siblings. I was the baby of the family.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and single mom, and so I was on my own a lot, but sports contributed to that. Other friends and family contributed to that, where I grew up really quickly, where I learned to be more mature. And that's where, people are like, oh, you started the business when you were 20. We didn't even look at it like that. We were just like, we're ready to go out and make something of ourselves. We believe in it, and we want to chase down those dollars. I think I definitely practiced it. When we were doing the door-to-door sales stuff, there was a morning correlation before we hit the doors, where we would come in, set goals. We would practice scripting and do role plays. And we would do this when we came home after the doors, after knocking in 100-degree heat for 9 or 10 hours, and then coming back to our apartment. And, if you didn't get a sale that day, it ate at you because all your buddies are, high-fiving, celebrating the wins and all this stuff, and you're looking at that leaderboard, and you had to tell everybody, I'm going to get this many sales that day. And then the next morning, they ask you, how many did you get? And you got to tell them that you goose egg, doesn't feel good.
Damn. I love that.
Yeah. No, the accountability portion was the biggest thing. It was like,
It's cool that you guys, like, I think of myself at 20, I think of a clown. And not that I'm sure you guys were clowns, but like,
oh, we were.
But your ability to hold each other accountable is like very ahead of the time, or like your time.
Without a doubt, dude. And it's something that I'm missing in my business right now. There's a lot of it's really easy to take the easy road or to not make that extra phone call, to make any excuse in the world for why you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And before, it was, okay, you said you were going to get that sale and you didn't. What didn't you do? And why didn't you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, my area sucked. The area that I was knocking sucked. No, it didn't. You just didn't knock that extra door.
Yeah.
Damn.
I feel you with the accountability, even with my own business. I've actually had to hire someone. Luckily, it's one of my brothers who's like, I didn't really hire him, but nonetheless, he comes in each Sunday. I'm giving him my schedule. He's like, you're making calls. What'd you do? And it's an hour-long conversation that, thank God, I have like a brother that's like, super smart, does this like professionally as far as like, he's a general manager of a warehouse.
Nice.
So he's just like, why isn't this done?
He's scheduled. He's organized.
Yeah. And that has been something that another like level, another step. But thank God I have it, because without it, I just won't. I'll get stuff done, but I won't do the extra stuff that is the phone call or the hit up or the research.
And part of that too is being reactive as opposed to proactive in your business. Where for us, phone calls, text message, emails come in every minute, every hour. But if you don't take time to block time for certain things and say that if I put it on the schedule, it gets done.
Yeah. Or there's a reason why it didn't, and where are you making it up in your schedule?
Exactly.
To get it done?
And there's always going to be those cases where a fire needs to be put out, and you just got to drop what you're doing and take care of it. But what I learned in this business, especially now that I'm growing and doing more volume and doing more loans and having more referral partners, is that I really need to be conscious of the time and where I'm allocating it, because I've had to fire realtor partners, or I've had to make time for different ones, and you start to take stock of where is the actual business coming from, where do I need to put my time and energy, and what's the return on that, right? So, like today, you've been on my ass to get this scheduled, which I appreciate, because again, I will make every excuse in the world as to why I can't do it.
But it's not so bad.
No, absolutely not.
You just got to get there.
Hell yeah, man. And again, I'm not going to not be working, for the next 30 years. So it is what it is. Like I'm perfectly fine with a slow burn to the success that I want.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great perspective to have. Especially you don't want anything built on sand. So
exactly.
You got to start the foundation, right?
Yep.
So let's kind of morph into this. Interest rates are going down.
Mm-hmm.
What are you seeing? You were just telling me earlier that you're seeing more refis.
Yeah.
And how does that bring you back to your old days?
Dude, it's wild. I was like, do I remember how to do these? But no, interest rates have slowly but surely started to come down. I don't want to over embellish as to what that is, because, the Fed cut rates the other week, but a lot of people don't understand that the Fed doesn't cut mortgage rates. They cut the federal funds rate, which is the rate that banks charge each other to lend money. Sure. Now, it indicates that inflation is coming down, which mortgage rates closely track inflation. So as inflation comes down, so will interest rates.
But this is par for the course because of the election, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'm not a political guy, but you look at any election cycle, this stuff happens.
Sure. Which is good if you're buying right now.
The incumbent is going to definitely lower interest rates before the election, because that's ultimately going to make them look better in the race. Sure. I don't think that we're going to see a dramatic drop in interest rates through 2024. I don't think that rates will really move much further down than where they're currently at. We trade in what I call like a sideways range, where interest rates might drop to 6%, but they might go to 6.25% 3 weeks later, depending on what's happening within the broader markets and the socioeconomic things like jobs reports, unemployment rate, all that stuff takes or has an effect on interest rates.
Sure.
So I think that interest rates will stay somewhere between 6 and 6.25%. For some people, it will be in the high fives, depending on the scenario. But the couple more Fed rate cuts that we have are pretty much already baked into the pricing. So when people see that stuff in the news, they immediately think that interest rates drop and that this is now the time to take advantage of it. The fact of the matter is that rates went up the day that the Fed cut rates by 50 basis points, which is counterintuitive to what people might think.
Yeah.
But refis coming back, it excites me, because you've already done the hard part. The purchase transaction is the one that, people are standing on pins and needles, because the seller's got to sell their house to purchase the next one. There's multiple legs of the transaction. There's multiple people invested in it. It's super emotional. A refi is, hey, Mr. Client, has anything changed with your situation, income, credit, or assets? No? Okay, I got all your documents. Here's what I can save you. Or, do you need some money to complete home renovations, or do you want to consolidate debt with the equity that you have? It's a much easier conversation, but it allows me to flex like my finance muscle a little bit more. I did a video the other day where I did a breakdown for a client where I showed him, hey, here's 3 different options. I can give you $30,000 cash out to complete some home renovations, reestablish your savings since you were out of work. He was injured. And then, here's an option where we can lower your rate, save you $200 a month. And here's an option where I can help you pay off your mortgage 15 years earlier by taking the savings that you would get from the refinance, but instead of pocketing that money, you put it back into the principal of the mortgage, and that's going to accelerate your payoff, save them $100,000 over the course of the loan term. So you start to look at it from a different perspective and more of a financial advising standpoint, or mortgage planning is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
And
it's using it to your advantage.
100%.
Rather just paying the...
Yes. And it's a really good way to help circulate referrals, because then I'm opening the conversation to, hey, what are you doing with this money? Or are you working with a financial advisor? But you're not. Let me link you with somebody that can help you invest that money that we now have. Or maybe you needed that life insurance policy, but the extra, $200 a month you couldn't afford. Well, now you can. And now you've increased your net worth. You've set your family up for success. God forbid something happens to you. And same thing with like CPAs, where, okay, are you taking advantage of every tax benefit that you get, writing off mortgage interest, depreciating an investment property, or doing cost segregation, and then putting them in touch with a CPA. And now I've created a value proposition to those other referral pillars that ultimately will come back to me in the form of organic leads.
That is super smart. Yeah. Well, I guess that's kind of the name of the game too. Is like making sure they stay in your ecosystem of referral partners.
I want them to work with my preferred people. One, because I'm going to work with some of the best people at their jobs. But because we're all working together. I call it a client advisory team, and it consists of a mortgage lender, a realtor, an insurance agent, a financial advisor or financial planner, and then a attorney. All those people working together in unison to ultimately
pass business, drive
pass
leads.
business, and create value for the client. Whether that's helping them save money for a refi or helping them invest the money to grow their net worth and ultimately their wealth.
All right, so we're gonna start this back up. Our camera died. Our
technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. The cameraman. Yeah. And the cameraman was not doing his job.
Guy's an idiot.
But let's talk about social media. I think with social media for a loan officer, it's a little bit more difficult because a lot of the times you're going after real estate agents, and I think that means you have to market to them differently. So how have you kind of navigated that? Because I know you want to go to consumer.
Right.
So how are you navigating?
Yeah, I think it's just a balance of all of it, right? So making content specifically geared toward gaining traction with referral partners, whether that's sharing client success stories where, you know, maybe we had a deal that was that came to us after another lender denied it, right? That's a really good video for me to make because it expresses to other agents out there like, oh, well, maybe I should reconsider who I'm using because, you know, I've had that in the past where a client's been under contract, they go 30 days into the process, loan officer tells them a week before closing that they no longer qualify. It definitely matters who you work with because there's people that are mediocre at their job in every industry. And then you have, you know, the A+ players, right? The MVPs that go above and beyond for their clients to ensure that what they're doing is the right thing. So making content geared towards referral partners, that might be client success stories, talking about different things that we can offer as a value proposition to them working with us, and sharing testimonials from other clients, things like that. I think the bulk of the content is, like you said, geared towards the consumer direct, right? How can I organically generate leads through this content? And at that point, it really matters what you're saying in it and how you say it, which again is something that I'm still working on, like tonality and you know how I position things, how the video looks. And while people think that you don't necessarily need a fancy setup in order to make good content, it definitely helps. Sure. Like the production value of your content definitely goes a long way.
Yeah.
It's no secret. I could look at any of the videos that I posted, and if it's something that I did on my phone versus something that I had done professionally with a camera guy, microphones, lighting, all that stuff, they generally do better. And that probably has something to do with like the psychological aspect of people that are scrolling. They see something that looks a little bit sexier, so they click on that as opposed to Android phone with like pixels on it and stuff, and
Sure.
or the realtor that takes listing photos with them in the mirror in the bathroom. Like
That's
it matters.
a thing.
It matters. It
Yeah.
blows my mind that it's
Yeah.
still a thing at
Yeah.
this point in time when there's so many freelance videographers, photographers,
Yeah.
or just like don't get yourself in the photo. It's not that hard, like there's ways around that.
I think for a lot of loan officers, I do think though that they are marketing towards the agent, and I think I don't know. I think that's a hard way to go.
Yeah.
Because obviously because you follow them. Like they're
Right.
the ones you're trying to get the business from, but they to me can be a fickle bunch.
Yeah, because they're inundated with that content every single day.
Then they tune you out.
They do.
So then you're like, you can't really market to them. I think now it's a little played out to them. Like,
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we're in a highly competitive industry where it's extremely saturated with wannabe agents, wannabe loan officers, fly-by-night people that are, here and gone the next. So it's hard to cut through to stand out that you are that person that is going to be there, when the dust settles, kind of a thing. And I think that's cutting through the noise to show people that you're showing up consistently. So posting every day or, a couple times a week to show that you are consistently doing it. That's what they want. They want someone who's going to show up every single day, not when it works for them or, when they feel like it. No, like you're gonna show up, you're gonna film content, you're gonna do the daily activity that you need to do day in and day out in order to succeed. Content's tough to do, because it's not immediately gratifying. You don't see an immediate return on the time that you invest in doing this.
Yeah.
But over time, you start to. For as long as I've been filming videos, I can't quantify exactly how much money it's made me. But I know that it's working because people that I knew in high school that I've known my entire life, they didn't necessarily know what I did. But now that I'm using, short form video content and I'm posting more regularly, those people are coming out and I'm hearing from people that I never would have thought I would hear from because of social. And that in itself is the success, right? It's like, okay, I didn't get a purchase transaction this month from my video, therefore it's not worth my time. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Doing it consistently over 6 to 12 months literally led me to achieving what I wanted this year. It more than definitely helped me double my production. And part of that is that it showed real estate agents that I was the guy, that I wasn't just someone cold calling them that was asking for business. No, I'm showing them consistently that, one, I know what I'm talking about. I have the testimonials and the feedback to back it up, or the accolades, whatever you want to say. And to them, they're looking at it and saying, because now my value proposition is helping people with content, because I'm no expert at it, but I'm doing more than most.
Sure.
And if you're doing nothing, I can definitely help you,
Yeah,
right? I know more than you do.
Yeah.
Or I've done more than you have, therefore I can help you. I can
Or I've
definitely
learned some things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of realtors want. And that was one of the big reasons I got this preferred lender venture with a real estate company that has 700 agents, is because their current lender is not a social media guy. Older gentleman, been in the business. He's great at his job. They love him. But he's not providing the value in the changing landscape that the agents need.
Yeah.
And they're not harping on it enough. So Monday I have a presentation to do for all these agents where I'll be presenting on social media and leveraging AI and how they can implement that into their business. And it's sick. Like, I put together the presentation, the slide deck the other day, and I used ChatGPT to do it. And I'm going to share that with them. I'm going to show them, like, this is how powerful this tool is.
Yeah.
A presentation that would have took somebody days to do took me a matter of an hour.
Yeah.
And when you can show people that, there's your value proposition. Now you no longer have to be the top 1% loan originator in your market to get the most business. You might be a guy who puts out really good content, and that content gives you organic leads, which you can then leverage out to your referral partners. Or you can teach your referral partners how to do the same exact thing. Give a man a fish each for a day, teach a man to fish each forever, right? Like, it's that literal aspect of things where it's no longer about, can I just close deals? It's now, how can I help you get more? And it doesn't come from just me giving you marketing dollars and come from me giving you leads. It's me showing you how to fish for your own.
Damn. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
That's crazy that you're going to do that.
Yeah, I'm stoked, dude. And that was one of the reasons that they chose me out of all the other people that they interviewed, was that I was so adamant on how important it is for them to be using these things if they want to succeed. And like, again, the dinosaurs that have been in the industry, there's some that are adapting to it, and those are the people that are still crushing it.
Yeah.
If you look at any of them, there's a real estate agent that Nina works with here who was on one of the Power Hours, Millie Rosenblum.
Yeah.
Like, she's an older lady, but she is still one of the top agents in the country, in our market, and she does a bunch of social media.
Yeah.
Like,
I always think this to some of these people. It's like, there's a reason the top people are making content. It's not because it doesn't work.
Yeah. You think that all these
they're not that vain.
Exactly. They're not.
I mean,
believe me, I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, like, I make video content, be easy. I'm no Brad Pitt behind the lens, but it's not there for that. I don't look at my videos to listen to myself or see myself on video.
Yeah.
I hate it. In fact.
Do you not like it?
I do it because I know that it's a part of the process that I need to do. Right.
I couldn't agree more. It's hard for me in this business. It was earlier to be able to be like, this is why this is going to work.
Yep.
And this is how you tell. I think you said it perfectly. It's like, the first step to knowing that you're in the right trajectory with your video content is when people start noticing, like your friend group.
Yeah.
That's the first, like, in the first, I think 60 to 90 days, that should be your aim.
100%.
Is like, people
your sphere.
Yeah, they notice.
And man, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people's reservations around filming content, what are my friends going to think? Oh, like, I look like a nerd. Like, this is cringy. You know what's cringy? Being broke. You know? So if that's the only thing holding you back from making content, dude, like just do it.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is that I have gotten such awesome feedback from friends and people that I, get to talk to once a year. I was at that wedding 2 weeks ago, and a buddy of mine he lives in Detroit. He's a doctor there now. He was like, dude, I love your videos. And like part of me is like, dude, shut up. You don't like my videos. And he's like, no, I'm serious, man. But he's another guy that really gets it in terms of like, I just love to see that you're grinding and that you're doing everything possible to succeed. Yeah. That's how I look at it, is like,
sure.
If there's anything that can help me grow my business or help me in becoming a better version of myself, why the hell wouldn't I do it?
Yeah.
And again, like if your only worry is that people are going to make fun of you or think that you're cringy or a loser for doing that, F them. Like that's how I feel. Like I'm so past the point of caring about what people think.
Yeah.
I still do from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, you're a normal person.
I'm a normal person. Yeah. I have feelings.
I might have feelings.
But I've built this tough exterior shell to where now like it's
to encase the soft, gooey
exactly.
inside.
Where I'm like, dude, if making a 30-second video and posting on Instagram is going to help me get 1% better or an inch closer to my goals, I'm gonna do it. I
love that. Mike, thank
Bobby,
you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
This was a great conversation. Yeah. I hope most of it survives. At least I know for sure your parts will, so they'll be good. There'll be good real content for you. But this was one of the funnest conversations I've had.
It was, man. This is a good time. And I'm jacked up for you too, dude.
Thank you.
I know, our first conversations and first meeting, you were working somewhere else. Now you're doing your own thing, and you're incredible at what you do. And I know that people in our office respect the shit out of you and love what you do. And I know you work with a bunch of people here, and I'm pumped to see how things turn out and to watch you grow, dude.
Yeah, I hope it.
First of many, right?
The first of many.
Yeah.
I got to find a new place. I've done about 3 podcasts here, so I need to find a new place.
New spot? Yeah. We'll take the golf simulator down and put us in there or something.
But we'll talk after this about anyone else that you think might be good for this.
Yeah.
But that camera right there, tell the people where they can find you, what you do, anything else like that.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that you found some good information from it. And, if you are in the market to purchase a home, you can find me at Mike_does_mortgages. That's my Instagram handle. You'll find some valuable content, some tips and tricks, some success stories, things like that. You learn a little bit about me. And if you want to, you can connect with me or email Mike s@anmtg.com. Cell phone number 708-822-9809. I'm sure Bobby will help me drop the details in the video.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Take it easy.
Cheers.